Hi, my name is Jim Kleiber. I believe that a few very powerful people infected our country with the virus of hatred, and I believe that love is the only cure. Who am I? I grew up in Michigan. I went to the University of Illinois for electrical and computer engineering. After studying that for 2 years, I switched to international studies. Upon graduation, I moved to Tanzania in East Africa to run an economic development consulting firm. After being there for 2 years, I moved back to Michigan to work at an innovation consulting firm that focused on trying to understand the mind of the community. So trying to understand the wants and needs of a company's customers. From there, I quit and I started working on my own emotions. I programmed an app called iFeelio to help me micro-journal my own feelings and to better understand who I was and what I wanted. And then for the last 2 years, I have been running a class that I created called Emotional Self-Defense to help myself and people around the world respond to emotional attacks with love. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of how I think we have been infected with a virus of hatred, I want to give a quick story about being overseas. So, whether I was traveling in East Africa or many different parts of Europe or some parts of Latin America, I've met a lot of people who have told me, Jim, I've always believed that Americans were angry, violent, hateful people. And then they say to me, but then I studied abroad, or I traveled, or I worked in the US. And no matter whether they were in Kansas, or Florida, or Michigan, or New York, in the city, or in the rural area, they would always tell me the same thing. Jim, Americans are some of the most kind people I've ever met. And so, I just want to tell you, I deeply believe that. And this is why this election has been so hard for me. Because I think that we are very kind people. I think that we are loving people who have been infected with hate. Not that we are hateful people. And so, I'm going to tell you a second story, and this is the one that reveals why I got so angry and why it was filled with so much hate, and how I use love to get out of it, or I'm trying. So, throughout this election, I have been watching a few things here and there, and more as it went from the primaries to the presidential election. And I just noticed that Donald Trump seemed to be saying a lot of things that were just outlandish, like outlandishly angry or outlandishly filled with hate. It seemed ridiculous that he would just say all these things over and over again, and the media the news media was just talking about him every single moment. I find myself talking about him in almost every conversation. Somehow it would almost always come up, whether it was a 5-minute or 20-minute conversation with anybody, even a taxi driver or a neighbor or somebody at the supermarket. And the anger built in me, but I just kind of brushed it off to an extent. I was like, there's no way this guy is going to win. And then Tuesday night, I saw the results, and I was livid. I was like, how did this man who just said nothing but hateful things towards a large variety of people, whether they were Muslims, Mexicans, women, reporters, anybody who crossed him, he seemed to attack. And I mean, that's not to say he didn't have any people that he stood for. I believe he also stood for people. But I was so blinded by this anger that he was attacking all these different people. I felt attacked. And so the results came, and for a brief moment, I felt okay with it. I saw him speaking in the acceptance speech, and I felt okay. I don't know why. The next day I wake up, and I remember that somebody had told me to check into a few things. And so somebody had told me that I should research two things. A company called Cambridge Analytica and a donor called Robert Mercer. And so I started looking into Cambridge Analytica, and what I found made me even more furious. Cambridge Analytica is a company that was started in the US recently. Its parent company is the SCL Group, based out of the UK, and it was hired by the Trump campaign to do the digital marketing. It was also hired by the Cruz campaign previously to do the digital marketing. And it was also hired by the Leave campaign in the UK regarding the Brexit referendum, the party that wanted to leave. And I started looking into what they do, and they claim that they can understand what somebody wants before the person knows that they want it. That's okay. I mean, there's plenty of marketing agencies that do things like this. Then they also claim that they, when they're speaking to you, they're not speaking to somebody like you. They're creating a message that is specifically for you. And so how they say they do that is through having nearly 5,000 different data points on up to 230 million different American citizens. Now that scared the crap out of me, because having worked in this field before, well, in the field of market research, market intelligence, that's a lot of information, and that's a lot of precise information. So I became really scared that they would know that much about somebody. And so I looked into how they might do this, and they've said that they buy, I'm not sure if they said, but I read that they buy public records and of many different things, everything from your purchases to websites that you visit to where you're from, blah blah blah, like any access that they can get to public records or things that are available for sale commercially, and then they glean and they clean this so that people can, so that they can have a better idea of what you need and what you are and who you would trust. Your psychological profile, or your psychographic profile, as they would call it, to do micro-targeting. And that scared me, and then I started reading into who SCL Group was, and I noticed that they have SCL Elections, which is a group that claims on its own website that while working in Nigeria, they realized that it was too difficult to convince swing voters to switch their vote, so they decided to convince the opposition to not show up to vote, to dissuade them from showing up to vote. And they did this by using some tactics, including involving local religious figures. And I found this to be abhorrent. I found this to be incredibly ethically gray. And, okay, so as my tension is building up, and, again, I try to let it go. I said, okay, you know what? It's how the world's going now, big data, everybody wants to learn these different things. So, forgot about it for the rest of the day. Next morning I wake up and I'm reading an article that talks about how Twitter bots were used tremendously throughout this election. Now, I want to pause first and explain to people what a Twitter bot is. A Twitter bot is nothing but a Twitter account that is being controlled by a computer or automated by the computer. So instead of a human sending out a tweet or retweeting or liking a tweet or following somebody, it's done by a computer. So it's automatically run by a computer and a computer algorithm. Now, there are plenty of Twitter bots out there that do things like try to rhyme with other tweets on the internet or try to correct people's grammar. Twitter bot in itself is not inherently evil or trying to hurt people. However, the thing about Twitter bot is that it doesn't have to be used by a real person's profile. You can create a Twitter bot to be used with a fake profile. And when I started reading more and more articles that were talking about how Twitter bots were used in this election to a ridiculous amount, meaning in one of the debates, I think up to something like 50% of the tweets related to the debate were created by these Twitter bots. And I was like, you have to be kidding me. And I started reading more, and I said that, it was really confusing why there were these Twitter bots supporting Trump. Or sorry, not Twitter bots. There was really confusing why these Twitter accounts were supporting Trump, these fake Latino Twitter accounts that were being run by Twitter bots. And I was thinking, wait a second. And then as I read more and more, it said that at one point, something like 80% of the interactions with Donald Trump were from Twitter bots? Yeah, no. And it said, yeah, okay, so it said one of the debates that there was action by Twitter bots on both sides. There was action for pro-Trump and also pro-Clinton. And I thought, wait a second, this is too much. And it said that the discrepancy was 7-1, that there were 7 Twitter bots supporting Trump for every 1 Twitter bot that was supporting Clinton. And I found this really suspicious. 7-1? What's going on? And a lot of these Twitter bots were putting out negative and hate-filled messages. And so now I'm thinking, wait a second, what's going on? And so I start thinking back to what's going on with Cambridge Analytica. And I was thinking, wait a second, if these people are so good and they know so much information about people and they could create a profile that somebody is almost willing or easily able to trust, they could create a fake Twitter profile very easily that is almost spot on for an individual, not a person like that individual, but that individual, and then send messages that are catered towards that individual to the exact individual and spread this message of hate throughout the internet. And I froze. And then this is where the information about Robert Mercer comes in. Because I had looked up Robert Mercer, and Robert Mercer is somebody who got his degree in, I believe, computer science from the University of Illinois, so the same school I went to. And he is a hedge fund billionaire who was the largest donor to the Trump campaign, and was previously the largest donor to the Cruz campaign, and is suspected to own Cambridge Analytica, is suspected to own Breitbart, the news channel that many people follow, which put out, many people on the Trump side follow, and puts out a lot of hate-filled messages. And more than anything is two things. One thing is that he was investigated by Congress for nearly $6 billion in tax avoidance with his hedge fund company, recently, I believe in the last 2 years. And more than anything, he is known as one of the forefathers in helping computers understand human language, helping computers speak like humans. He was given an award by the Association for Computational Linguistics, a lifetime award for this. I'm one of maybe 15 people. So, taking all this into consideration, I was like, oh my god, wait, are the Twitter bots being done by these people? Is this are these hate-filled messages being pushed out by one group, and this is a coordinated effort? Holy crap, this is big. And so I started freaking out. I stopped talking to a lot of my friends, and I just went down into bunker mode. I'm like, I need to expose this. I need to figure out what's going on. Like, I really need to research this, because this could be it. This could be why this election is so confusing to so many people. This could be why pollsters were completely off in this case and in Brexit. Because you know what? Apparently a lot of Twitter bots were being used in Brexit as well, according to research done at the Project of Computational Propaganda in Oxford. And so I'm sitting there, I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is a hedge fund billionaire is using all these powerful tools to spread fake messages so that somebody like my uncle, in the South would, believe somebody like maybe a veteran profile and be like, oh, so this fellow veteran thinks that Clinton is bad, so therefore I'll think Clinton is bad. Not because my relative is gullible at all, but just because the power of Twitter. I don't think people understand, and I'll try to explain to you the power of Twitter and how these Twitter bots could really, really infect this country with anger. I believe the majority of the Twitter bots that they found were very anti-Clinton. They were anti-Clinton, they were anti-Muslims, but like really anti-Clinton. And if you wanted to convince people to get really angry, you just make them, like the information on the Twitter bots, very, very anti. Twitter is a platform where emotion spreads very quickly. It's in 140 characters, and when you hit send, like, it goes. It could go to the whole world. If you got 10,000 followers, 10,000 people get that message immediately. And the other thing is that because it's only 140 characters and a lot of people speak with poor grammar, you can also fake it pretty easy. And Robert Mercer was the guy who came up with, helping machines translate human language from one language to another. And he did this not by knowing linguistics. He did this by using probabilities and statistics. So if you take that same concept and you say, okay, I'm not really sure what language I should put in here, but I can just, probability is I could use this sentence mixed with this sentence. You could you could create these sentences pretty quickly. And I don't have the knowledge that he or somebody else in computational linguistics would have. And apparently it's actually not that difficult to create these Twitter bots. So other people have made Twitter bots as well, so I don't know for sure if they're the ones who have done these Twitter bots. I have no idea at all. It could be a hacker. Some people have shown that, it could be maybe a 13-year-old sitting in some library somewhere. It could be, there are tools that are downloadable for people to do this themselves into quite ridiculous veracity. So there's one tool out there where if you download it, you might be able to get 5 times better results than trying to trick somebody if you are a real human. There was a journalist who used this tool. It's put out by ZeroFox called Snapper. And if you look at this tool, the journalist tried to fake all these different profiles and convince people to click on a link, which is known as phishing. Convince people to click on a link so that they could, be tricked into doing something. And the program was also trying to do the same thing. Now, the journalist thought he was pretty good at what he was doing, and the journalist got something like 49 people to click in the allotted time. I believe the program got something like 276 people to click, just because the program can send out messages a lot faster. They can, they can try again and again and again. It's just, it can move at a speed that a human can't move. And so when you think about this technical capability, you could spread anger and hate and fear really fast. Because if you're not limited by humans, you can spread it very quickly through the internet. And so now I'm shaking at this point. I don't know what to do. Of course, I'm reading more, and I need to expose this. I need to get the story out. And so I stumbled across an article it's an article that's talking about who the parent company of Cambridge Analytica is owned by. It says that the SCL Group previously had the majority shareholder who was a UK real estate billionaire. And the person did a lot of work on this article to track different ownership connections between this person and some other people, and came across the same Ukrainian oligarch, Dmitry Firtash, that Paul Manafort, the campaign manager for Trump, was suspected to be in contact with, or be connected with. And so I got terrified. You gotta be kidding me. People from the Russian government might be involved, or people from Ukrainian society might be involved in this. This might be something that's international. This is not just a hedge fund billionaire who could be just angry with the government. This could be something that's much larger. Oh God, I'm gonna die. What am I doing researching this? I gotta hide. I gotta get this out, but I gotta hide. I can't. These people can't do this to us. Come on, like, this is America. You can't screw with our democracy. Why? What are you doing? Like, how is this happening? What? And I went into lockdown mode. Like, this was Saturday. I went into complete lockdown mode, and I just went into research, and I was just researching, and I was trying to put this all together, and I needed to figure out what is the story, and who do I break it to? Do I break it to this news agent? Do I break it to this news agent? Can I trust them? Maybe they're part of this conspiracy. Who do I break it to? Oh my God, what's the encrypted communication channel that I could use? closed, so I make sure that nobody knows I'm looking at it. And sorry, the video took off for a sec. And I became more paranoid than I think I ever have been. I was shaking. I was so focused, like I couldn't. I was just staring. I was staring straight ahead like this. I was just absolutely staring straight ahead. Like my roommate tried to talk to me, and I was just like this. And I was supposed to go out to the birthday dinner of the girl that I was dating, and I couldn't go. I sent her a message that I can't go. I need to do something. This is urgent. This is one of the biggest things I've ever done. I'm sorry. And I was just freaking out. And I was trying to cover my tracks everywhere I was going, and I was trying to be incredibly careful. And I didn't know what to do, and I was freaking. I've never been filled with so much anger and so much hate and so much fear and so much. I thought, I may die. If I release this, even if I don't release this, I might die. And if I do release this, people I care about might die. People close to me might die. They may not even die. They may get tortured. And if people overseas are involved in this, if there are foreign governments or somebody else involved in this, if the Russians, I hate to say the Russians, but if there are people in the Russian government involved, or people in Russian society, like mafia or whatever involved, this could lead to war. Oh, what do I do? So I was like, I gotta get this out. And I need to do it. I can't hide this. The longer that we wait on this, the more devastating it'll be. I can't withhold this information. I'll go crazy. I'll go absolutely crazy if I don't tell people. I only told my roommate and the person, I didn't even tell my sister. I finally told my sister. Only because I wanted to go out and print it so that I could, look at this over and over again and proofread and make sure that the story was correct and go. And yeah, I couldn't hold it back in. I can't hold this story in. I need to tell this to people. And so, the girl I'm dating said, was supposed to come over and stay the night because she lives out of town. And I asked her if she still wanted to come over, and she said yes. And she goes to bed immediately, and I'm up for another 2 hours just researching. Wake up in the morning, and she's sitting on the opposite side of the bed, and she looks at me and she says, "I'm worried about you." And she says, I feel so disconnected from you. I feel like I don't even know you. I've never seen this side of you. She says, "It was like I was sleeping next to a stranger." And I just snap out of it. What's going on with me? I haven't slept in days. I had like a banana to eat yesterday. I'm not even eating. I'm not drinking water. I'm not taking care of myself. What happened to me? How did this happen to me? This is what I do for a living. How did this happen to me? And I've been looking at these people who I thought may have done this as evil, as these evil geniuses who are out to manipulate the world and to screw over our country and to screw over my neighbors and to screw over my relatives and just to hurt everybody. And in the process, I got hurt. In the process, I got filled with hate. The same hate that I was trying to avoid, I got filled with it. I got so filled with this hatred. I can't live that way. I don't want to live that way. I want to be present. I want to look at the people who are around me. I want to talk to the people who are near me. I don't want to be stuck in this fit of rage and this fit of fear. That I don't even have. It's just something that was planted in me. I don't believe that. I don't believe people are evil. I don't believe that. This isn't something I believe. How did this happen? And so for the last day, I chilled. Sunday, yesterday, I just relaxed. I didn't rush to put something out. I said, you know what, I need to slow down. I need to take care of my body. I need to go out and get some food. I need to go to bed early. I need to wake up in the morning. I need to go exercise. I need to take care of my body. What happened to me? Why can't I slow down and listen to the birds? I want to see life again. I don't want to be stuck in this fit of anger and this state of hatred anymore. I'm not going to let them win. And I don't think they're even trying to do this. And so this is why I'm going to point out right now. I think we're all sick. I think we're all sick with this hatred. We're sick of it, and we're sick with it. So I'm going to step back and say, like, do I think that these people intentionally tried to hurt other people? No. I think these people are hurt. If they even did it. I don't know if they did it, but there's definitely evidence saying that they have that capability. And there's definitely evidence saying that Twitter bots were used to spread these messages. I just don't know who did what. At the same time, even if they did it, do I believe that they're evil geniuses? I have a friend up in Oakland, California, who told me last year, she was like, you know what, I'm tired of giving people evil genius credit. They don't deserve it. Whoa. I don't think they're evil geniuses. I think they're hurt. I think they themselves got infected with hatred sometime in the past from somebody. I don't know who. It could be their parents. It could have been their neighbor. It could have been their teacher. It could have been their government. It could have been their news channel. It could have been their ex-boyfriend. It could have been their ex-girlfriend. It could have been some movie that they saw. I have no idea who infected them with hatred, but what I know is that many of us are infected with this hatred. If you looked at this campaign, it wasn't just Trump. People were filled with hatred. It wasn't just Breitbart News Channel that was filled with hatred. It was the journalists. One of the shows I watch a lot, Stephen Colbert or John Oliver or many of the liberal comedians who take on a lot of the news, they would use dehumanizing terms towards Donald Trump. They would call him like a inflated pumpkin. They would call him, they would make fun of his tiny hands. They would try to humiliate him. It's the same thing that Trump was doing. It's the exact same tactics. It's like Trump is dehumanizing people and then we dehumanize him back. It doesn't work. It just leads to more dehumanization to the point where we don't even recognize that we're humans anymore. We're just lying in bed next to a stranger. So I think we're all sick. I think we've been infected with this, whether it's from the campaign, which shows that it was an abnormally large amount of hate speech and fear and anger being provoked in people throughout this campaign, or if it was something we had in us before. Many of us have anger and fear and resentment that's been stuck in us from the past, whether it was given to us by our parents or our neighbors or our teachers, etc., etc., etc. It's hard to get rid of it all. But at this point, I want to say something that Martin Luther King Jr. said in his speech, Loving Your Enemies. He says, in the best of us, there is some in the best of us, there is some evil, and within the worst of us, there is some good. So now I want to transition. I want to talk about how love cures the hate. So, if you look at the Twitter bots as an example, so a Twitter bot is using technology to get people to do something. In this case, Twitter bot is using technology to get somebody to do something. The analogy of virus of hate came from computer viruses. So if you think about computer viruses, it can many of us have experienced them. And speaking with my roommate who got one last week, he started talking to me about computer viruses. He says, you get it, but you don't know how you got it. You get it on your computer, and you got it on your computer, and your computer starts acting up, and you have no idea what's going on, and you don't know why you got it, and you don't know how to get rid of it. It's just stuck in there. And it clicked in my mind, that's like this virus of hate. That's like hate. It's like hate comes into us and we have no idea where it came from, but for some reason we just hate things. We hate people. We just don't know why, but we just hate that person. And it's just stuck inside of us. And that That anger and that fear is just there, but we don't know where it came from. It makes us do stupid things. We can't see straight. We can't walk straight. We can't talk straight. We can't eat straight. We don't even know what's going on. We're just transported to a different world, and we have no idea how it got there. And so there's this virus that's infected us. I don't know exactly how it got there. I have my suspicion that it got there from these got accelerated by these techniques. And I think for a lot of us, as that virus builds up, think of it like the flu virus. As it builds up and builds up and builds up, many of us, if we get the flu, we pretend like we don't have the flu. We ignore it. And so we go into this indifference response. We pretend like, it's not a big deal. I got the flu, it's not a big deal, I'll be fine. And we just push and we push and we push and we push and we push. We still work and we do all this stuff. But everybody around us knows that we have the flu. They look at us and they say, you don't look so good. What's going on with you? Are you sick? Do you need to take some time off? And you're like, nope, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me at all. And you go and you go and you go. And, as you keep going, eventually your body just starts to give out. Your body says, I can't do this anymore. And the indifference turns into almost a numbing effect where your body's like, okay, I'm literally going to start shutting down different parts of your body. I'm going to shut down your legs. I'm going to shut down your ability to speak. I'm going to shut down all these things so that you go home and you start resting. It's the same thing when it comes to hatred. A lot of us pretend that, I don't hate that person. I'm totally fine with it. We become apathetic. We become indifferent. Nothing's going to change. Kind of same old, big deal, whoop-de-doo. But it's still there. It's like our body is doing that just to shut us down because we got overwhelmed with the anger. We didn't know what to do. What do I do with all this fear? Do I push forward? Do I attack? What do I do? I'm stuck. And so this indifference just shuts us down. We pretend that we don't have the hatred still burrowed within us, but we do. We become apathetic and we shut off from life. Elie Wiesel once said that the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And I strongly believe that. We stop being alive. We die. But we're still alive, but we're dead. And so I think the only remedy for hate is love. And when I talk about love, I echo what Martin Luther King Jr. said. It's not liking somebody, it's loving. It's believing in the redemptive goodwill of somebody. That somebody is trying their best. For Christians out there, one of the lines that Jesus said that blew me away. Mind you, I'm not Christian, but the line blew me away. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. I don't think these people, I don't think whoever incited hate in this campaign knows what they were doing. I think they were just so infected with hate. And I think the hatred often is directed at ourselves. I think we don't love ourselves. I think we think there's something wrong with us. I think we think that we're trying to hurt other people. We think that we have evil intentions, or that we're manipulating other people, and that we're taking advantage of other people, and that we just don't. And then we're stuck in that. We're stuck in the insecurity. We're stuck in that fear. We're stuck in that anger, and we never get back to the joy of living. I went to a leadership workshop a couple months ago, and the man running it, George Kohlreiser, said that we have to grieve to get back to the joy of living. I believe in the process of loving someone, we need to cry. We need to cry. We need to be sad. We need to recognize what we've lost. And get through it so that we don't spread this to other people. Jason Mraz, one of my favorite musicians, has a new song. I believe it's called 3 Things. He says there are three things that he does when his life falls apart. And the first thing is that he cries his eyes out to dry up his heart. I think we need to cry. And remember that these people, while may have done something very, very, very hurtful to this country and to the trust that we have in our neighbors, are themselves, not the enemy. It's the actions that's the enemy. And so right now I want to tell you a story before I close. I know this is a very long video, but I think it's important. 3 years ago, I had broken up with a woman that I was dating, and a few weeks after that, she told me that she was pregnant, and I didn't know how that was even possible. We took all the precautions. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a career focus. I mean, I was doing work, but I didn't know where I was going to take it. I was struggling. And now I was going to be a father. I've always wanted to be a father. What do I do? I don't want to be with her, though. I want to be with this other woman. What do I do? And so I freaked out. I got so filled with fear, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't tell anybody, and I just bottled all this up. And I said, oh God, I'm going to be a father. I wasn't filled with hate. I was filled with fear. And I slowly started telling more and more people. And as I told more and more people, they expressed how scared they were and just how empathetic they were for what was going on. And if I needed any help, please ask them. They would help me out. Some people, whoa, man, I don't know what to do. Like, whoa, that's crazy. I can't believe. What are you going to do? And then finally I spoke with one man who was visiting us from California. We were sharing some whiskey. I was telling him the story, and I was telling it in reverse chronological order. This happened, and this happened. He says to me, Jim, how much do you trust this girl? And it was like a veil was lifted. Holy crap, I don't trust this girl. I know she lied to me in the past. She lied to me about something big. She said she was out at some crazy party, and there were all these guys around, and everybody was drinking. I became really, really worried, and so I contacted her friend. I said, hey, I just want to make sure she's okay. And her friend says, yeah, don't worry. She's not at a party. She's at home. She's not at a party. Don't worry about it. And I brushed it off. I became indifferent. I let it go. I was angry, but it's not worth the fight. It's not that big of a deal. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just move on. I did this for so many other things. She said she was dating this new guy who was studying a double master's in something like engineering and law at the same time at a top school. And I was like, no way, people don't do that. I mean, some do. It's very unlikely that's possible. And then when I had that conversation with this guy, it was like the veil was lifted. All of these things that had something maybe like a 1% probability were possible, but when they're put together, it's not possible. From what I remember from statistics, the very little I remember from statistics, if events are independent and they have a 1% probability, it's like 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, you multiply them all together, and the odds that all of them happening at the same time are incredibly low. And so I got pissed. I got so angry. I was like, this is not happening. No way. This is despicable. Somebody would lie about being pregnant? I just never heard it. I was trusting. Why would people do that? I don't think anybody would ever do that. Why would you do that? And I started telling people, and they're like, oh, yeah, people do that all the time. Women do it all the time. Well, women do that all the time? Are you kidding me? And I was just filled with this anger. I needed to find out, did she do this? Was she pregnant or was she not pregnant? Was she telling the truth or was she not? I need to know the answer. And so I was thinking, well, how do I figure this out? She's in a different state. How do I go out there? I'm paying another $1,500 to fly out there and find out. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I tried to call and talk to her doctor, but she needs to give me permission for doing that. I don't know what to do. And so I called and I talked to her. I confronted her about this. Did you do this? Are you telling me the truth? Because when I look at this and this and this and this, it doesn't seem to make sense. Are you telling me the truth? Are you actually pregnant or are you lying? Just leave me alone. It's not a big deal. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Oh, she must be lying. Just leave me alone. She must be lying. for the next 2 months. I didn't know. Was she lying? Was she not lying? I have no proof. I can guess she was lying. She actually was not pregnant, but I have no proof. But it would drive me crazy. I need to figure this out. How do I figure this out? I need to figure this out. At one point, a couple months later, I said to myself, I was like, no, I don't need to figure this out. This is going to drive me crazy if I need to figure this out. What I need to do is apologize. I called her on the phone. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whatever I did that made you feel so hurt and so much pain that you might do something like this. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I did. I never wished to cause that much pain to you. And I let go. I breathe. I don't think she's an evil person. I think she did things because she was feeling pain. If she lied, she was feeling a lot of pain to lie. If she was telling the truth, then she must have gone through a lot of pain in that process. If she had an abortion. I'm not sure. I don't know if she had an abortion. I don't know if she didn't. I don't know what the story is. But regardless, I know that she was in a lot of pain, and I was in a lot of pain. And somebody had to have the courage to get out. Somebody had to take care of themselves and break out of this. So, in closing, what I want to say is that I strongly condemn the actions. I strongly condemn the actions of what people, either on the Trump campaign, or in Cambridge Analytica, or Robert Mercer, or whomever, the Twitter bots, whoever controlled these Twitter bots. If these actions were designed to make people worry, to make people fearful, to make people hateful and full of anger, and to divide this country and divide humanity further and further, I find that absolutely despicable, and I find that that needs to be called out, and we need to shine light on that. And I can't do all the research myself, and I believe that we need to focus on figuring out how to not spread this hate. I don't think we need this hate in our world. At the same time, as much as we can focus on these actions and what happened, I think if we don't remember to love the people all around us, our neighbors, our politicians, our friends, our family, our enemies, the quote-unquote racists or sexists, or these are just dehumanizing terms. They're still human beings. And so I believe that we need to condemn the actions. We need to love the actors. For I believe that love is the remedy, and that love is the natural state of humanity. I'm going to end this quite long video with another quote from Martin Luther King Jr. in a speech, and he says, "I love you. I would rather die than hate you."